A very good day to all of you. We are going to start the 8th lesson from grade 10 Health and Physical Education lesson series, and the topic is Let us maintain a healthy body. In this part of the lesson, we are going to learn about several organ systems. First, let's see what this organ system means. So an organ system is a group of organs that work together to perform specific functions necessary for the survival and proper functioning of the body. So each of these systems consists of multiple organs that contribute to a common physiological process. For example, if we think about the digestive system in our body, there's a set of organs which contribute to digestion of food in the body. And digestion is the physiological process that these organs are performing, and it's important for the survival of the body. And each of these organs have their own responsibilities, have their own functioning towards the digestion of food. So altogether there are 11 organ systems in our body, and we'll be talking about 5 systems in this lesson. So we are planning to talk about the digestive system, excretory system, respiratory, circulatory, and the reproductive system. And also we'll be focusing on the diseases related to these systems and the precautions we can take to prevent them. So in the first part of the lesson right now, we are going to talk about the digestive system first. So here we are looking at a figure of the digestive system. It's important that you know the parts of the digestive system, that means the organs which are involved in it, and also where these organs are located inside the system. So there are salivary glands, mouth, pharynx, liver, esophagus, stomach, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine, appendix, anus, rectum. So we'll be focusing on the main organs of the digestive system, and let's see what happens there. So let's talk about what digestion means. So to simply put, digestion means the process of breaking down food into smaller particles for absorption. And there are two types of digestion in the digestive system. One is physical digestion and the other one is chemical digestion. So if we talk about physical digestion, that means the mechanical breakdown of food. Food is broken down into smaller pieces without any chemical changes. There are no chemical changes during the physical digestion. It's just mechanically breaking down the food. So it happens in the mouth. Teeth usually chew food into smaller pieces. And then it also happens in the stomach with the churning movements of the stomach. It can mix food with gastric juices, so that is also physical digestion. And then the small intestine has peristaltic movements which push food forward and mix it with digestive enzymes. So these are the physical digestions which happen in the digestive system. And then when it comes to chemical digestion, we also call it as the enzymatic breakdown, because the food is broken down into simpler molecules by digestive enzymes. The word enzymes is what matters. Breaks down food using digestive enzymes. So this happens like basically in the mouth using salivary amylase. In saliva it begins carbohydrate digestion, and then in the stomach there's pepsin enzyme which starts breaking down proteins, and in the small intestine there's pancreatic enzymes which digest carbohydrates, proteins and fats, and also there is bile which comes from the gallbladder, and after that from the liver, like there's a process behind it from the liver, helps in fat digestion. Intestinal enzymes also complete digestion for absorption. So these are the main organs in the digestive system, but there are also supportive organs. The main organs, like if you talk about the supportive organs, they help in digestion indirectly. So most of the glands belong to the supportive organs like the salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. These are considered as supportive organs. And the rest of the organs are called main organs in the digestive system. Okay, so let's talk about the digestion which begins in the mouth. So food is broken into smaller particles and mixed with saliva in the mouth. And then teeth and salivary glands help in this process. So here you can see the arrangement of teeth. You have incisors in the front, then there's a canine, premolars and molars. And then if we talk about the teeth development, we have milk teeth when we are very small, also known as deciduous teeth. So milk teeth appear between 6 to 9 months when we are a baby, and then they fully develop by 3 years. So we get a total of 20 milk teeth, 10 on each jaw, 10 on the upper jaw and 10 on the lower jaw. And then by the age of 6 to 12 years, between this range of age, milk teeth fall out and they are replaced by permanent teeth. And then we get a total of 32 permanent teeth, including wisdom teeth. So the last 4 molars, also known as wisdom teeth, they may erupt until 25 years of age. So it can start around 6 to 12 years, teeth development of permanent teeth, and it can go on until 25 years of age. And then if we talk about the structure of tooth, it has the crown part and then there's the root. Crown is the visible part, the part which is visible for us. It is covered with an enamel which is made of calcium and that is very strong. And the root is the part embedded in the gum, the part which we cannot see. And it contains nerves and blood vessels. Then there are salivary glands. They are also not visible. There are 3 pairs of salivary glands which produce saliva and which helps in swallowing food. And they contain ptyalin enzyme which starts carbohydrate digestion in the mouth. So saliva contains ptyalin enzyme. Saliva is secreted when we take food into our mouth, and that is where carbohydrate digestion occurs first. So once we take in food into our mouth, then it passes the pharynx. Pharynx is the part which connects the nasal cavity. The nasal cavity is not shown here, but there's the nasal cavity and there's the oral cavity or the mouth cavity. So pharynx is the part which connects both nasal cavity and the oral cavity. It is also connected to the larynx, which is our airway, and also to the esophagus, also known as the food pipe. So here you can see the food pipe, and here you can see, I guess, a bit of the larynx. So pharynx is the part which also connects the larynx and the esophagus. So once food passes through the pharynx down the esophagus, it reaches the stomach. So the stomach is a J-shaped organ, as you can see. It's a J-shaped organ and it's connected to the esophagus. The upper end is connected to the esophagus and the lower end is connected to the small intestine. So the functions of the stomach are that it's a temporary food storage, and it secretes gastric juices like mucus. Mucus also protects the stomach lining. It also helps in food digestion as well. Then there's pepsinogen, which is an enzyme for protein digestion. It also secretes hydrochloric acid, which kills bacteria and activates other enzymes in the gastric juice. So the thing to remember is that protein digestion begins in the stomach. So we noted that carbohydrate digestion begins in the mouth, but protein digestion begins in the stomach. And then it also absorbs water, a certain amount of water, certain medicines, and also alcohol. And food usually remains in the stomach for about 2 to 6 hours before entering the small intestine. So after the stomach, the food comes to the small intestine, and the small intestine consists of 3 sections as duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. So duodenum is a C-shaped part, and it's the first part of the small intestine. And then there's jejunum, which is the middle section, and the last section is known as ileum. And if we talk about the functions of the small intestine, the inner walls of the small intestine have villi. So here you have a figure of villi. So this is the inner wall of the small intestine, and it has villi. So these villi increase the surface area for efficient absorption. And glands in the walls of the small intestine also secrete mucus and other digestive enzymes. So it begins, it also does a digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So the digestion of fats begin here. Others we know where it began. So digestion of all these three occurs with the help of the enzymes secreted by the small intestine. There's also something called the peristaltic movements, which mix food with the digestive juices, and it helps in pushing the food forward and downwards along the small intestine. If we talk about enzymes and the absorption, protein and fat digestion is completed with the help of pancreatic and intestinal fluid. So not only intestinal fluid, but there's also other pancreatic juices which involve in digestion. So protein and fat digestion is completed while the food is in the small intestine. And bile from the liver also aids in fat absorption. Bile is important for fat absorption, and water and minerals are also absorbed while there's food in the small intestine. And then food comes to the large intestine, which has a length of about 1.5 meters. However, it does not produce any digestive enzymes. Only mucus is produced, and it has no villi in the walls. So the functions of the large intestine are that it absorbs water and minerals, and there's no significant digestion here because it also does not secrete any digestive enzymes. The unabsorbed food from the small intestine enters the large intestine because, like most parts of the digestion, completes while the food is in the small intestine. And then in the large intestine, it forms feces, which is transmitted through the rectum and finally expelled from the body through the anus. The large intestine also has a part like a small pouch called appendix, It's near the junction of the small and the large intestines. Next, we are going to talk about the diseases related to the digestive system. And under that, the first disease that we are going to discuss is about gastritis. So the simple definition is that it's an inflammation of the stomach lining. So there can be various causes for gastritis. It could be excessive alcohol consumption, even stress can lead to gastritis, and certain medications, especially certain types of painkillers, can cause gastritis. Smoking is also another reason. Bacterial infections or any other erratic feeding habits, for example, like irregular eating patterns, like if you are keeping a huge gap between two meals, then it can also cause gastritis. So these are like some of the causes, but it depends. The next disease that we are going to talk about is cancer in the digestive system. So this is now like a common disease. The common sites which cancer can occur in the digestive system are the esophagus, liver, stomach, pancreas, large intestine, and rectum. So if you talk about oral cancer, to prevent that, it's better that people do not smoke, avoid alcohol, and avoid chewing betel, because aricanuts and tobacco have been also identified as major risk factors of oral cancer. And then there are insecticides and harmful flavors which can increase the risk of oral cancer. So it's better that if you notice any patches, small growths, or like ulcers in your mouth, it's better to seek medical advice as soon as possible. And then to prevent cancer in the large intestine, one should make sure that they eat enough fruits and vegetables, because low fiber diet can increase the risk, and also which can lead to improper bowel movements. So low fiber diet leads to improper bowel movements. So altogether, make sure that you get enough fibers in your diet. So eat a lot of fruits, vegetables, and leafy greens. The general risk factors for digestive system cancer: smoking and alcohol consumption are considered as general risk factors, factors which can increase the risk. And then there are warning signs like difficulty in swallowing food, loss of appetite, blood in stools. Like if you come across any of these warning signs, uh, you need to consult a doctor immediately, because these are going to be like some of the symptoms which may appear when it comes to digestive system cancer. There are also some other diseases related to the digestive system, such as cirrhosis, appendicitis, communicable diseases like diarrhea, typhoid, and jaundice, and also piles, also known as hemorrhoids. So cirrhosis is a very common disease again these days. It's a chronic disease of the liver occurring due to germs and chemicals. It is also commonly associated with the consumption of alcohol. So there is alcoholic cirrhosis as well as non-alcoholic cirrhosis. So we have come to the end of the first part of this lesson, and before we wind up the session, we need to know about the steps to avoid digestive system related diseases. So brushing teeth twice daily and avoiding smoking, alcohol, and chewing betel, taking natural fiber containing foods such as fruits, vegetables, leafy greens is important. Also reducing the intake of foods made out of refined flour and ones containing a lot of spices, taking food on time, and managing stress. By following this, you can reduce the chances of getting gastritis. It's also important that you avoid consumption of food with artificial flavors, chemicals, or insecticides, because all these chemicals can lead to different types of digestive related diseases. Drinking adequate amounts of clean water, it's the best thing you can do to keep your digestive system clean and clear. Having regular bowel motions at least once a day, you have to pay attention to that as well. Maintaining good hygiene from the time of preparation till consumption of food. And also, if you feel any changes in the functioning of the digestive system, it's important that you consult a doctor immediately. So that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson, and there are some more systems that we have to talk about. So stay tuned and see you next time.